Welcome to Tech Tip Tuesday. I'm Mark, and today we're going to be talking about your email strategy. Have you ever logged into your email and thought there has to be a better way? Emails come in, you might send a few, most of it's junk, rarely gets deleted, hardly sorted, and when you do want to find something, it's very difficult for you to find the message that you were looking for. By using a system that is repeatable and forming a habit with it that you use consistently, you will find that your email is not only much more manageable, but much more enjoyable to use. So what I'm going to be talking about is what some have called a 5-folder system. Now there are many ways to do this, and I'm going to describe it in a way that is agnostic to any particular vendor or provider, such as Gmail or Yahoo or Office 365 or anything like that. Now, I am going to demonstrate with Gmail, but this will work with any provider. I'm trusting that if you know how to set up folders with your particular email service, then you'll be able to pull this off. So by default, Inbox and Archive are already here. We only need to create Action, Reference, and Waiting. These 5 folders are all that you need to effectively manage your email. You don't need extra folders, you don't need extra detail in here, because we want to convert our emails into action items. We don't want to just let them grow and become this mess of folders and files and subfolders that we don't even remember how to manage after a while. Let's start with the inbox. This is where your emails come in, and I am going to suggest that if you get more than 100 per day, you may want to consider setting up some rules and having a high priority and low priority inbox. Generally, that's not needed, but if you do get an excessive amount of email, it could be helpful. The goal is to check your email a couple times per day, so you're not going to be constantly going back to your computer or constantly opening your email. We want to have 0 messages in our inbox every time we're done, and we only want to dedicate attention to the messages that we can take care of in just a few minutes. Now, I've written here less than 5, but this needs to be adjusted based on your schedule and how much time you have to check the messages. If you don't have a lot of time, maybe you only address the things that you can take care of in 1 or 2 minutes and push everything else off till later. There's a few things you need to keep in mind before you archive a message. 1, does it have future value? 2, are you done with it? Because if you've still got work to do on the email, then there's no sense in archiving it yet. And is it time sensitive? If it's time sensitive, then it will be better suited to take action on it and then delete it rather than archive it. A good example of this would be like coupons or something like that, where after a certain amount of time, they're going to expire. Now, archive can also hold messages that you just think you're going to need later. In other words, it's got some value in sticking around because you can't quite determine, all right, should I delete this or should I keep this? And that's okay. Just know that you want to give it some scrutiny and determine that you think it's going to have some value later before you archive it. Your reference folder is for the things that you know for sure, undoubtedly, you will need in the future again. So archive, I said, you can get away with, I think I might not, 50-50, I don't know. The reference folders for the things that for sure. So sales receipts or testimonials, things like that. Those are things you're certainly going to need again, and you're going to want to hold on to. You may keep some things in your reference folder for a short time. Say you're doing an event or something like that, and then once you're done with them, you can either move them to archive or delete them. The action folder is one of the most important folders. So these are the items that come into your inbox, and you look at them and say, okay, I don't have time to address them right now. I've only got a few minutes and I got to get my inbox down to 0. But when I do get to them, there are very important things that my attention is required for them. You're going to move things to the action folder, and then once your inbox is down to 0, this is the next folder you're going to come to. Finally, we have the waiting folder. And these are emails that require your attention, but you're waiting on somebody else to provide input or review or something like that before you can continue on. This will be the 3rd folder that you routinely check. So how does this all work? Well, when you get an email, it's going to come into your inbox. And here I've got this example of mint.com pay off debt faster with latest goals. Now that it's in my inbox, I have to make a decision. 1. Does this require any attention from me? And by the way, that could just be, I want to read it. That would still be an action item, is to read this email message. Or do I need to reply to it? Now in this case, it's something I would just want to read, glance over, and go on. So the next question, can I do this quickly? For our example here, I'm going to act like I can't. I'm in a rush. I need to get my inbox to 0, so let's move this guy to the action folder. So I'm going to check it. I'm going to say move to action. Now my inbox is clear. This is the first objective every time I check my email, is to get the inbox down to 0 messages. Step 2, go to the action folder. I'm going to start at the top and work my way through. My primary objective is to get through the action folder now that the inbox is empty. These are the items that need my attention, and I don't want things slipping through the cracks. If I've completed an item in its totality, I can either archive or delete that message, or perhaps maybe I need to keep it around, so I'll put it in reference. If there's nothing more I can do now, but I'm going to need to do more later, I can then take this message and move it to the waiting folder. This is the third one that I'll be addressing every time I check my email. I'll come into waiting. Now, keep in mind, this is after I've checked my inbox, I've sorted everything in there, I've gone through action, I've checked everything in there, there's nothing left for me to do. Now is a good time for me to go to my waiting folder and maybe send some replies and follow up with others that maybe have let the email slip through, or maybe priorities have changed or objectives have changed and I need to bring them up to date. This is a good time to reach out to those individuals, just touch base with them, say, hey, how are things going? And then leave them in the waiting folder and see if they respond. So you have your inbox where all the mail comes in. You want to sort it out, get it down to 0. Go to the action items, work your way through there. Then work your way through the waiting folder. Items that you know for sure you need to keep, you're going to keep in reference. And items that you think you might need to keep, you're going to put in archive. Practice with this system and see how it helps. Like any change, it's going to be difficult at first, but it's certainly going to be better than having countless folders with countless amounts of email under there. And by checking your email and doing it the same way every time, you'll begin to get more and more efficient at it. You'll really begin to get a system down, and email is going to be a much more enjoyable tool to use and be beneficial and add more value to what you're doing rather than being distracting, cumbersome, and sometimes downright frustrating to use. So I hope this has been helpful. Go enjoy your technology.